Welcome to Republican Roundtable. I'm your host, Max Reimer. We're covering a topic today that we've covered quite a bit before, but there's kind of a new local spin on it because we have a couple of events coming up in the next week or two, and that is the issue of school choice. So today we are here with former Speaker of the House, former gubernatorial candidate, and current good dad and Renaissance man, yeah. Kurt Zellers.
So. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Max. And yeah, you get all the important titles. Former hockey coach, too.
Hockey coach?
My 11-year-old's now faster than me on ice, so I've retired that position as well.
Very good. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about school choice right away. You're with the organization Oak, Opportunity for All Kids.
Right.
We have a couple of events coming up in the next couple of weeks, as I mentioned before. What are those events? What are you guys doing?
So we're going to have a big rally. So next week is Support School Choice Week. So on Tuesday is a big rally at the Capitol. Stop over about 8:30. Everyone is welcome. It'll be right there in the rotunda. Senator Michelle Benson is going to be one of our speakers. She's been a diehard supporter for all the time that I've known her at the Capitol. She's been a tremendous supporter of that. There is going to be another Zellers speaking that day. Not myself, but Miss Reagan Zellers, who is a 13-year-old 7th grade student at St. John's Lutheran School out in Maple Grove. So we believe in the Zellers house. You walk the walk and talk the talk. So
yeah.
We are both, two of our 3 children are in school now. Our 4-year-old will eventually be there, but Reagan's going to be speaking with Ms. Senator Benson and talking about what school choice means to them. For Senator Benson, it's a public policy issue. For Reagan, it's a little bit different, and she has put a lot of thought into it. And she says, Dad, I just want to tell people what it means to be able to be who I want to be and talk about the things that I think are important at school, not what the school district tells me I have to say.
Sounds like a preparatory stump speech.
Yeah.
Is that
There'll be another Zellers running. My cleats are hung up, but Reagan will be, yeah.
Of course.
But it'll be great. It's a great opportunity for families of school choice to not only come out at the rally. There'll be time to send a card to their state representative or their state senator to say, I'm Kurt Zellers from Maple Grove. This is, my wife Kim and I support school choice. Here's why. We really hope the next legislative session, when this comes before you, you'll not only support us, but you'll support that choice for other parents and families in Minnesota.
Doing a little bit of research on School Choice Week, kind of the national organization that's helping you guys put these events on. Looking at kind of the state of school choice in Minnesota, where are we at? How are you feeling about it? What's on the legislative docket?
Sure.
What things are you guys working on?
One of the real exciting developments is just recently with the tax bill. Senator Ted Cruz from Texas actually introduced a provision into the tax bill, and hopefully this won't put your guests together because I spent 14 years in tax committee, so I'm excited about tax policy. But the great news for school choice supporters is it now allows you to put money into your 529 account, which traditionally, or not even traditionally, which has been only allowed for college expenses. So you put those pre-tax dollars in, then you save that, and then when your child decides to go to college, you have those set aside. Well, Senator Cruz changed that, so now parents of private school or school choice families can use those pre-tax dollars now for tuition at private schools, which is a game changer. My wife and I have literally started this paycheck on the 15th.
Yeah.
We're putting money into that. It's pre-tax. It's just like a health savings account, so if folks aren't familiar with it, you put those dollars in pre-tax. That allows you then to help, over the course of that year, pay for that tuition, pay for any expenses that go with that school. And that's just game changing for us in Minnesota.
And that's with private schools, any kind of homeschool programs?
Homeschool included too, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then the provision we had last year is a tax credit that would allow for scholarship granting organizations. So you and I want to get together with a group of friends that want to support. We're big into biotechnology. We want to support kids that are going to build the next robot or the new technology. So we want to develop a scholarship program for STEM students.
Okay.
So we go to individuals, we say, if you'll give us $10,000, just using a number, not necessarily the actual number, the state of Minnesota will then give a 70 cents on the dollar tax credit to whoever donates to us. So we get half $500,000 in the bank. We have $500,000. We now go out, and there's a limit, so you can't be over, say, roughly 80-90%, or 80 or 90,000 for a family of 4. It's kind of the ceiling, so the income level, and then we can grant scholarships. where that changes it from a regular tax credit, which you have to pay for the tuition up front throughout the school year, then you wait until April 15th
Right.
to get your tax credit. Well,
Right.
there's a lot of families that don't have that
This
income.
is real time.
Yeah, they have to make, and this gives you the scholarship, helps the schools plan out, because they can say in June of the year before, okay, here's how many students we're going to have, here's how much scholarship dollars we're going to have. Now we can set our budget for the year so
Yes.
that those kids that don't have a scholarship, we can help them out with financial aid. So it really will, and we were really close last year. We were in the House tax bill and the Senate tax bill, but as the tax bill shrunk in size, we unfortunately were one of the programs that was not included, but great success, great progress, and we look forward to coming back in 2019.
Very good. Now, just to clarify for our viewers, that initiative was at the state level.
Correct, yep.
Backing up a little bit, this 529 provision that Ted Cruz proposed, that was within the federal tax bill that has been signed by President Donald Trump.
Right.
I don't think most viewers would think about a tax bill in that way.
Yeah.
Oh, how did that sneak in there? Because it sounded like it was an 11th hour initiative that we weren't sure if it was going to happen, if it was going to make its way in the tax bill. How does an organization like Oak see something like that to completion?
Well, and it's really our mission. I mean, that's what, and Oak is, as you mentioned, opportunity for all kids. So it is making sure that each one of those kids has that opportunity. So maybe you can't afford, again, to the tuition part of it, you can save in the months of June, July, August, you save up, but if it's pre-tax, that really helps a family. We have 5 in our family, 3 kids. I mean, every little bit helps when it comes time to the family budget. So and Senator Cruz was a great author. We worked with folks in the House as well. Congressman Eric Paulson was a tremendous advocate for us in the House as well.
Right.
On the Ways and Means Committee, which is great when you have friends like that, but then also a true supporter. I served with Eric when he was in the House. He has been consistent on being a school choice advocate. So you have good friends in good places, and then when the opportunity presented, the president and his administration were looking for ways to not only improve the quality of American workforce, but how do we do that from a practical standpoint?
Yes.
And it was perfect timing. Great author, great bill, and now families all across the country, and we can't state it enough, but put those dollars in now. And the beauty of it is, if you pay for your tuition throughout the school year, that's fine. But if there's money left over, it's not like you have to spend it all now. You can leave it in that account. It stays there tax-free, whether it's for a vocational school afterwards, or then you go on to college. So those dollars going in pre-tax, saving them for that important time when your kid decides to make that decision of trade school, college, whatever. But in the front end of it, for all those kids that want school choice, this is a great opportunity. Yeah,
before college even happens, you're giving parents more flexibility and students more opportunity. So when you hear about Apple bringing jobs back and people reinvesting their money and corporations giving raises, just understand that this tax bill, based on the work that you're doing at Oak and what other organizations are doing, there are other really good things in this thing. Just as an aside, I really think, based on what you're telling me, and then based on some of the windfall that's happening from this tax bill, I was telling my wife, I think it's one of the most meaningful pieces of legislation that I've seen in my time in politics, which hasn't been super long, but it is a very meaningful bill.
Yeah, and being a student of history, when these have happened in the past, whether it was under JFK, whether it was under President Reagan, you see there's a very slow run-up, but then you see the 10 years after what has developed from that policy is tremendous. And one of the other things in the tax bill, and having served on the tax committee in the House, I'd always ask, what's the one big thing we can do tax policy-wise? Granted, state of Minnesota versus federal, but that, the repatriation of some of those dollars that are overseas at a 35% tax rate as a business owner, that's an awful big bite to take. Well, now that it's down to 20, 21% really, will some of those companies, bring those dollars back for reinvestment purposes, R&D purposes, or just to bring them back for bonuses?
Yes.
It's great for the United States. It's particularly good for Minnesota because we have a high concentration of corporate headquarters. Whether it's Best Buy or Target or General Mills, Cargill, go down the list, Land O'Lakes, CHS, we can go on and on and on. Those corporate headquarters being here, that would make a real difference to us. So we might not see it the first 2 years or first year or 2 years, but over time, those revenues continuing to never see the overseas market, but to stay here, I mean, it will be, and as a tax policy geek, you can
Yeah,
kind of tell.
that's great.
That is something that I, as a student of not only politics and history, I can't wait to see how it pans out.
Yeah, and I think one little nuance there too is the upping of the standard deduction for a lot of these families. To kind of extrapolate some of this out, you know, the 529 provision, I mean, if you're keeping more money in your pocket,
Right.
ultimately you can put more pre-tax dollars into an account like that. It's really a win-win for a lot of parents. I want to talk a little bit more philosophically about school choice. What is, when I say school choice, what is that? What does it mean for our viewers at home? What is the impact? What is the opportunity? What is some of the data behind why you guys do what you do?
Sure.
Why not send everybody to public school?
And that, at its core, that's what it is. It is about choice. It is about what, as a parent, I have 3 kids. All 3 of them are completely different. You have one, you know, he'll be getting to that age sooner or later, where then maybe there'll be 2 or 3, but
We're just hoping he'll sleep right now. So
go through the night, right? They will, trust me.
Okay.
But
I believe
looking
you.
at each of those kids and how they learn, how they're different, both in out-of-school activities, in-school activities, you know, they learn in a different way. Both of my son and my daughter learn in different ways. As a parent, we want the ability to make that choice that this is what's best for Reagan. She's not going to be in this school setting. That's not going to work for her. Smaller school setting, maybe a little bit more attention to curriculum, a little bit more creativity, whether it be, you know, a fine arts school or again a STEM school where it's science, technology, math, but allowing the parent to know what's best for their kid and then to make that choice.
Yes.
That's the important thing. Each parent will intuitively know, and in some cases will do some research and find out, okay, my kid's going to be a math, you know, no doubt about it. He's not public speaking, but he is going to be a great engineer.
Yeah.
I want the choice to take my child to the school that is best fit for his or her needs. Not just, here's the cookie cutter approach, you put them in the box, you go, just like every other kid, you go and do whatever we say you do. So it is that, and then it's also, most importantly, the ability to get out of a failing school.
Yeah.
You know, there are still, it's sad because Minnesota has some of the highest test scores in the nation when it comes to ACT or you know, standardized testing. Yet we have some of the largest achievement gaps from our students of color to, you know, say a white student from up in the Iron Range in Duluth, or you know, maybe in, you know, Fergus Falls, or you know, someplace like that. So if that's the achievement gap that we see here in Minnesota, why shouldn't those parents have the opportunity to get their kids out of that failing school and send them someplace where they have an opportunity at life? Again, it's back to Oak, it's opportunity for all kids.
Yeah.
So at its core, that's what school choice is about, is a parent, on the front end, having the ability to know what their child needs from an education standpoint, but then also, most importantly, is if you are in a failing school, if you're in a system that isn't living up to the standards you as a parent have for your students or for that school, then you should have that choice to leave the school. And I told each time we have a new school year, I tell our teachers, no pressure, but I am giving to you, for a brief period of time during the day, my most valuable asset. This is the thing I value the most in life, my child. I am giving I'm giving him or her to you for the day to help get them on a path for the rest of their lives. I hope every teacher, and full disclosure, my wife's a public school teacher. I hope every teacher sees these responsibility and accepts it in which way I grant it to them. It's very, very important to me. And I think when you go to the core, like you said, the philosophical core of it, that's what it is. That the parent has the choice. The parent has that ability to choose what's best for their child, not just a cookie cutter system from a school district.
The natural kind of retort then, because you and I both running for office, you kind of get pushback on the philosophy of school choice sometimes, because when we talk about the provision that we're looking at for the 2019 session that you're talking about, to voucher programs, you know, I know voucher is not a pullable word, you're not supposed to say that.
Never.
But if you're a conservative, you know, justifying tax money to essentially subsidize a way out for some of these kids, how do you make that case as a Republican and as a conservative? Because it tends to be the kind of gotcha pushback on school choice. You know,
Right.
no public money for private schools.
Right.
You know, or some people say no public money for religious schools. We know that's not the case because not all private schools are religious
Right.
schools.
Right.
But what is the natural response that you would give to a question like that?
Sure. Well, and it should never be about the school. It should never be about the teacher. It should never be about the school administration. It should be about the student. And so if the student's needs aren't being met, you know, we all pay taxes, property taxes that then, you know, fund our schools. We pay taxes in a lot of different ways that fund, you know, what our education system goes through. If that school isn't living up to those standards, why should we make the whole suffer for the few?
Right.
You know, it's a few bad teachers, it's a few bad administrators. It's a history of, you know, look at the Minneapolis school system, of failing students. So why is it that our tax dollars, you know, any other place where you look in society, if the roads when we're driving home tonight are filled with potholes, and if it continues to be like that for a week, guess what? People call the mayor's office, they call
Right.
MnDOT and say, my roads suck, I pay taxes on that, come fix my road.
Right.
Why should it be any different with education? So, and like you said, I've had this pushback, and again, full disclosure, my poor wife Kim is a public school teacher.
Yeah,
so.
she's got to have it rough, I would imagine, from some coworkers.
Yeah, exactly. And she goes to union meetings too, so
Okay.
she wants to get her, you know, union dues. But you know, the pushback that she always gives to them is, so why is it okay, just because this is the system we have, why is it okay to continue doing it?
Yeah.
And I have yet to find even the most liberal or most ardent school, you know, the traditional teachers union school model supporters say, yeah, you're right, we should just keep doing it the way it is, even though
Right.
in Minneapolis, some grades, half the kids don't graduate.
Right, right. And what I do find funny about that is because I think that this is an issue, like many issues, that is above politics. You and I had talked before we went on air about several cases of people who support school choice because they know it works. They know choice is a good thing for parents and for students. You had made mention, and I'll bring it up just because you made mention of it, right? At Oak, I'm very familiar with MISF and a couple of other organizations that really, this is what they do. You know, they go to the Capitol and they battle for these initiatives.
Right.
How do you take on something as powerful and as entrenched as the public school union in Minnesota? Because it seems to me that it is a gargantuan force to be reckoned with in this state. How do you go against something that seems so entrenched and so mighty as it is in this state?
Right.
How do you take that on?
It's actually
There's a lot of money involved too.
Exactly. That's the biggest probably challenge, but in a lot of ways it is kind of simple. You let information not only become public, but you share it with as many people as possible, and the truth will set you free, as the saying goes. You know, you tell families in Minneapolis neighborhoods who have watched for generations those kids not pass, and if they do pass, they're failed in the education they get. You then point other examples. You know, you look at the city of Milwaukee, and one of our speakers coming in for School Choice Week is a state representative. He's a Democrat, definitely not on the Republican side or conservative side, but a zealous advocate for school choice because he has witnessed in his own community when given the choice, this school performs. This school doesn't perform. Why should these students be stuck in this low performing or underperforming school when they could go over here? And not only are those kids seeing it, but the parents are seeing it. And that generational spread from, we went to this school. My kid's now in college. His older brother, who had to stay in the bad school over here, he didn't get to go to college. He didn't have the grades. It wasn't that it was his fault. It was just a bad system. And to your point, there's no geographic or background of any way. Just because you live in Minneapolis and you come from an African American or Latino home, doesn't mean you should be in any way made or forced to stay in that school system. It should be, and it shouldn't be just in the Twin Cities. There are a number of private schools in greater Minnesota cities as well that want the same opportunity. You can be in Fergus Falls or Alexandria and still want to go to, whether it's Lutheran or Catholic or a leadership academy school. So it shouldn't be just about us in the Twin Cities, but you spread that information, you use good examples. What I have found on the other side is they use a lot of emotion. Well, if you do this, all of our teachers are going to lose their jobs. Well, my wife, God bless her, has been teaching now for over 20 years. Her school closed, not because of school choice, but because there was declining enrollment. she's still teaching. Good teachers will always find a job.
Yeah.
Good lawyers, good
Amen.
bankers, you name it. Good people who are good at what they do will always find a job.
Yep.
But if you're a bad teacher, maybe you should choose a different career. There's maybe you should move on if that's not what you're doing well.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it well by the students you're supposed to teach. So I think that's one real important thing is that information getting out. The other thing is that what I've seen with Oak and a lot of these organizations are fantastic.
Yes.
I've been a supporter since before I was in office, while I was in office, and now obviously afterwards, is to bring those organizations together. What I've seen with Oak is a convergence of a lot of different people. So, they're the Lutherans, the Catholics, the Jewish community. A lot of what I would we consider traditional the religious groups, but then also so Gentry Academy, where my son goes. So it's a leadership academy. It doesn't have a religious overtone at all. St. John's Lutheran, obviously pretty easy to see. Reagan
Right in
School,
the name,
is Lutheran. But bringing all those groups together is something that I haven't seen in quite some time at the Capitol, and never really at this extent. But I think once the outside groups also see that, the teachers union, to your point in particular, say, wow, if all these people are coming together, pretty soon they're going to get to critical mass where everybody knows our secret, which is some of our schools aren't doing so hot, and we probably shouldn't continue to prop them up. They should either go away or they should have competition that will make those teachers or those administrators in that school perform better. Very
good. Well, Kurt, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people go online to find out more information about Oak?
It's oakmn.org. MN Oak, I believe, is our Twitter handle. But then, especially, come to the rally. If you just go to the website or to our Twitter account, we'll have all kinds of details there. We'd love to see you at the rally. We'll have some really cool yellow scarves, easy to identify for School Choice Week. Yeah,
that's reason enough.
I should have had mine on tonight, but I left it in the car. But really would appreciate coming out, show that support, show folks on their side that it's okay to be for school choice.
Very good. Kurt, thanks for joining us. You guys, this has been Republican Roundtable. Until next time.